in the trenches working together, and that helps to break down a lot of barriers.
I also want to mention that we're very honored to have with us as a guest the superintendent of Hamtramck High Schools is here today. He chose to come here today when he has many choices of things to do, and we respect Tom Nijai for being part of the guests here. Thank you for coming, Mr. Nijai. Did you want to say something?
Hi, I'd just like the panel to understand that, yes, these type of forums that we're talking about here do not exist in Hamtramck Public Schools. But I'm not sure everyone in the community understands what is going inside the schools. We have a program called Restorative Practices that we've been using for the last 3 years. And when there's an issue between students, we bring in the students, we bring in the parents, we sit around in a circle, and we bring in community leaders also and solve that problem. And this process has been going on for the last 3 years. It doesn't fix everything, but I think it's a start. And when you hear the kids talk about, you know, things are better, there's less fighting, it's true. It absolutely is true. But we're far from perfect. Racism, discrimination is in everyone's mind. It's almost like pornography. I mean, you can't really define it, but when you see it, you go, aha, we know what's going on, or what that is. It is a very important thing. I also want everyone to be aware, at Hamtramck High School, we earned a grant. We worked hard for it from General Motors and United Way of Southeastern Michigan. And on the 16th of this month, we are having a community roundtable. We're inviting as many people as we possibly can to come to this meeting and learn about it. We no longer, when Mr. Iveza and I have a fist fight, do we just kick the kids out of school, come back in 5 days, come back in 10 days, and go back and sit in the corner. We have in-school suspension now at Hamtramck High School. We have mentors that go there with the students. We have family councils based that came from Highland Park in Detroit to actually be there in the school, community people, to work out the differences between Newell and I. And I just want everyone to be aware of it. Way back when in Holbrook School, we had ambassadors of peace. And I believe these forums are fantastic. The problem is some of the people that are angry from both sides. And I believe that anger comes from something really bad happened to them as kids. And we would like to help them, but to get them to come out for something is very, very difficult. We started this year a parent telephone system where we have an activity, for example, open house or something. We call every house in the district to come out to the activity. And we truly do respect the Muslim community. Monday, there is no school, there is no activities going on. Tuesday, we have an in-service. So, I mean, it's not perfect, don't claim that, but sincerely, Hamtramck Public Schools is trying to make it a good place.
Thank you, sir. You're a great educator. You really are. And we do appreciate you and appreciate all the teachers. I'm sure I speak for all the parents. And what we are saying is we appreciate everything you're doing, and we do perfectly understand your hands are tied because of budget, of other issues. We do understand that. But in the same time, we are saying we are willing to work with you in putting things, permanent programs, where the brother there said it is a constant program that always in mind to start a dialogue all the time, and that may alleviate some of the tensions in the community. But I just want to thank you, and you know we've been working together for the last 20 years, and so you are a great educator.
We are willing to hold, you know, forums like this in the public schools, but also, and I think everyone in this room is aware of that, there's also a very serious class struggle going on. And no matter what nationality or group are you, unfortunately, some of the people feel, if I make the other guy feel worse, it makes me feel better. So, and no one wants to be bottom. No one wants to be on the bottom. So if it's a Arabic student or it's an African-American student, a Caucasian student, if they can make the other one become lower, it rises them up. I mean, and I'm saying that I agree with that, but that's how many of them do it. And so especially, my group is tougher than your group. My group is cooler than your group. And all that stuff is just so wrong, because we can get so much further ahead by working together. The sports, the teamwork, the musicians, all that stuff. I mean, it's hard. But if we really pull together, we can do it. You know, in my younger days, at Holbrook School, I really thought, well, I don't need the teachers that much. You know, I've got some energy, I could get some of these stuff going on. Went to a bigger school and found out, absolutely not. I need the teachers to get all these, you know, improvement plans going. So teamwork, teamwork, teamwork.
But your leadership has made a difference.
Okay, we have time for two more. What do you call it? Comments from the audience. Okay.
I guess I would say more of a reflection on my part. I think I can top the other students that talked who were from the public schools here, because I went through Hamtramck High School in the 60s. And so when you go back that far and you can look forward and see this community and where it's evolved, it does give you some perspective. And I think the perspective is maybe illustrated through just one moment of time back in that era. And that was in 1969 when we had some of the black history instructors who had started black studies, African American studies in the high school programs of the city of Detroit. One of those teachers came and got a job in Hamtramck Public Schools. It's one of the first African American instructors that we had at that school at that time. And there was a need to create a Black Histories program at Hamtramck High School. They also attempted to address and connected to that initiative or that idea was this whole idea about justice inside of education and the need for more equality and openness in the dialogue of what was happening in our classrooms. And that was happening in other city schools as well. It also happened at Northern High School, which is on Woodward, and at that particular school, they actually captured that moment in history the Mosaic Youth Theater has through a play called Northern Lights, which really talks about that time in history and what the struggle was of students and how we failed as a society to address the needs of students. And so, coming back to Hamtramck and what happened here, we had community. I happened to be the president of the senior class, and we actually created forums to talk about the need for the Black History program. And the response from the school board members at that time was there was no need for such a program. And the reason for that is that those kids that want that can't read anyway. And so if they can't read, why would they need those books? And so we went on strike. And all the students in the school, we walked out, and we stayed out for 2 days. And from that, there was some kind of a small recognition that there was a need for that kind of a program. Unfortunately, nothing really changed. And what actually happened was our classes, we did institute an African American history class for a couple of years. And that teacher actually then left not long after that. And so what you could see is that there was this moment where people did galvanize, we did take action, there was a small change in the schools, but we're fighting against this time of a larger society and the classism that Tom talked about and the racism that we're all surrounded by here. And so we have to think about how do we counter that today? And I think we're all struggling with that idea, how to describe it, how to define it, how to take action with it. And I think all I can say is, sure, it is so important to do what we're doing, and this is a noble start. I think, though, that raising it up to the level of being a moral issue is really where we're all having to go. Because then we can counter things and figure out how to take steps. And I think we have to do that. We need to move faster within our institutions. Not just in our public schools, but in our community colleges, in our universities, in any of our educational institutions. We really do need to transform faster if we're going to stay some semblance of a democracy.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, we're actually running out of time, and I do want to give the last word to Ms. Myrick, but we have a guest here too.
Thank you.
Just a case in point, last night casually at dinner before I knew that I was going to be here, I had a discussion about a book, and it was called The Real Terrorist, and in the book there weren't any Arabs at all in that book. My name is Eric Kimberly.
Tell me the name of the book. This is the first book that has no Arabic terrorist in it.
The Real Terrorist, okay? This is running for school board knows about the book. She has it, as a matter of fact. My name is Eric Kimberly. 25 years ago, I became a lifelong member of the NAACP, and 25 years ago, I kind of let the NAACP carry on my fight. But as I can see that I need to re-engage myself. My background is in business, and in business, it is how do you get the job done, day in and day out. It's about making money. As I told one individual here, I used to work in Hamtramck. And here in Hamtramck, our company was part of a large multinational that was a group of companies that worked together to make one product. And I'm telling you, all over the United States. And so the problem was, is how do I get this guy to work with me so that we can all become successful? Daily, 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 daily. So I'm saying that here in America we have a business model. We live the business model every day, okay? And they say the business model is not working because we're not making any money, right? In other words, we can't figure out how to employ each other. The fabric of society is torn, ripped. And by you three guys there, we got at least 3 parts right there. Okay? So how do we mend it together? A lot of good intentions. We all can agree we heard a lot of good intentions here, right? So how do we bring those good intentions together? I got one suggestion, is that we create a project for our kids, okay, to teach themselves how to get along. Obviously, you can't get it at home. There's too many, I don't know, other kind of issues involved with administration. Kids teach themselves. I'm a social worker. I do a little social work. And so I've got certain speeches that I give, okay? Fabric of the society is one of them, okay? But I'd say this, is that in every forum, okay, you've got, like I said, there's 3 people there, okay, that represent the NAACP from different areas, okay? And if you 3, for example, can come up with a project that you say that we can work on and bring forward and say, this is success, what have we learned, okay? And for what you've learned, and you tell another person what you've learned and create the same project, that's how you build the fabric, okay? It begins to mend together. And it's a simple thing to do. I'm the last speaker, so I guess I can't go. One more? Okay. But I'll be back here in Hamtramck, and I'm interested, so I'll be around.
Let's give you a chance to listen to the lady who we all know in Hamtramck here. She's an icon here. This is Miss Yvonne Myrick. She's on the school board. She's been an activist almost all her life here in Hamtramck, and she always has some words of wisdom to say. But you have to keep it brief this time because we're running out of time. So here's Miss Myrick.
I can't promise you that. But I'll say this to you gentlemen. It's my pleasure to see you here and hear you today.
Always a pleasure seeing you.
My name is Yvonne Myrick. I first became active in NAACP when I was 18 years old because of a roach and hot chocolate. I went to a store where I was going to business school at night, and I worked during the day for the government. I went to a store, and there bought some hot chocolate, and there was a roach in it. When I went to the man to tell him there was a roach in it, he said it's not a roach. So what he did was block the door to keep me from going home. And that actually happened. So there was a gentleman sitting there, and I said to the gentleman, I said, "Isn't this a roach?" The man said, "Yes, it's a roach." Then I said, "Then I'm going out of here." And I had the hot chocolate. I said, "I'm going to the Board of Health." He grabbed me with that hot chocolate, and the hot chocolates went all over his magazines. Then I was so frightened, I didn't know what to do. I ran across the street and told my boss. And so he said to me, "What? That happened to you?" Well, I'll tell you what happened afterwards. Gloucester Curran. Do you remember Gloucester Curran? He was in charge of NAACP then. We took it to court. Do you know what? I won the case for NAACP. And I joined it then at the age of 18 years old. And have been a member ever since, and now a life member right here in Hamtramck. And I have been the president of NAACP here in Hamtramck. So I have a story to tell, but I'll tell it another time. But it is my pleasure being here again. I am a part of this community, and I shall do whatever I can to help this gentleman here and the other people that are here to do what they can do for this community, because we must move on and make it better for our children and those that are coming after us. And I just wanted to tell you all this part of my story, and it's my pleasure to be with you this evening. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And that is only a small portion of what she's done in her life, so thank you. And one day, very soon, maybe the NAACP will have a special event where we can, once again, honor and learn about the history of what's going on in the city for all these years. Special great thanks to our three panelists. Thank you so much for joining us for this very special occasion. Butch Hollowell and Abdul Hakim Al-Sadar and Mudasa Tawakal. They very great contributions to our event. And thank you to everyone here. It's not over. The food's here. Socialize, hang out if you want to. Thank you for being part of this event with the NAACP. If you'd like to be a member and you're not a member now, we have membership forms here. And here's the lady who will help you out, Marla Swin, right there. Thank you for coming.